Hello everyone, and welcome to Compiler Snapshot, where we're going to talk about fueling extension development. First, a little intro. Hello, my name is Alexis Archer. I am development. I've been with Configure for about 3 years now, and I am a huge Disney fan. If you were there, if you caught me at CET Experience, I was the one in the Disney hat. So, let's start. Compiler Snapshot. We all know when we're working and we're doing all these really hard debuggings and we're cleaning all the things up and we're developing really well things, and then all of a sudden we hit this horrible crash. It makes it so we have to do a clean restart, and we all think immediately, time for a cup of coffee. We all know clean restart can be a very time-consuming process. Compiler Snapshot can help speed up this process by grabbing all of those extensions and saving them as a preload so that we can start up faster and we don't have to worry about that. So, how do we set up for a compiler snapshot? Well, first, we want to make sure that we have all of the extensions, any of the product lines that we want to work in open. So when you're in extension details and you're looking at, I want catalog creator, I want FICA, I want material handling, I want CIL, or anything like that, you want those, or something similar, or your own product line in your extension, or if you are working in a extension with a lot of sub-extensions and you're like, I only want to work in this one little space. If you go in and you have that open and loaded and selected, then at the point when you have loaded that all up, you can go ahead and take that snapshot and it will make sure that's saved into a database into a folder of databases. That means on the next startup, even if you clean restart, it will be much faster. So first, let's go and see how this works. Real quick demo of how much Snapshot can speed up our loading time, and I know you're all excited to watch CET start up once again, just in this little space. This is my empty workspace. I have nothing in here but core and my personal repo, so it shouldn't be too long. I do have a slightly slower computer, as I am told repeatedly by my coworkers, so if this is slower than your own machine, I'm really sorry. But we're gonna move through this as quickly as possible. So as you can see, like I said, I have almost nothing in this, and it's still taking quite a bit of time. So here we are. We've made it to the load up time, and that took me. I'm going to load up this extension real quick just so we have like a base point of when time is set and how long it took. So this one without my snapshot took me 1 minute and 47. This is the location snapshots will be sent in. Don't worry, we'll come back to it. And every time you make it, when you hit those snapshot keys, you will get that CM runtime make snapshot, and as well as that printout line below it that says snapshot created in the amount of time, and that is the data location that it is stored in. So every time you start up, you will have this setdev, the name of your workspace, and it is stored in base data. And then every time you make a snapshot, that is where this folder will be created. So if you go look at your workspace right now in this location, if you don't have a snapshot set up, you will not see this snapshot folder. It is only on creation that it is there. So I've made a snapshot, and as you can see, of course, once again, I now have the snapshot folder in that location. We'll talk about it more again. Here are those databases. So I'm going to do a clean restart, and then I'm going to load up my CET again, this time with the snapshot. And every time you try to load up CET after you've made a snapshot, you will get this printout line. It says restored snapshot done in the amount of seconds, and again, it gives you the location and the databases and where to find. Already we're faster. That didn't take nearly as long. Here we go. I'm back into my extension details. I'm starting up. So here I am in the extension. This only took me 40 seconds to get to that same location of loading up the tool, that extension through. So how to use the snapshot, let's talk about how to make the snapshot. So again, you start up CET just like you normally would. And then once it's open and you have selected all of the extensions and packages and all of the things that you'd like to have open while you're working, go ahead. Then you will go ahead and hit Control C F9. This will make the compiler snapshot. Every time you need to clean restart, the compiler will now grab this snapshot from that location, and it'll make that load time easier because those packages and databases that you previously selected will be preloaded, is the best way to say that. So it saves them in, keeps them there, and every time you do a clean restart or a restart in general, this snapshot will load back up. Once you are done with with the day or that project, or you're switching gears, anything like that, or you just don't want the snapshot anymore, you can go ahead and hit Control C Alt Return, and this will remove the snapshot. It will, however, also do a clean restart. There is no removing the snapshot without the restart. It's the only way that works. So when you make the snapshot and you're done with it, you will have a clean restart. Just be aware of that. And like I said, every time you make a snapshot, you are going to get that C2 snapshot created in however long it took the snapshot to create, and then it will tell you the location of the folder that it's stored in. And like I said, it'll be in that location, and it'll have this folder that it created saying that it's in the snapshot in this space. And inside the snapshot, of course, is the loaded databases of everything that you picked open, as well as anything from core. All right, let's move forward to seeing when we should use the snapshot. So it's a pretty versatile tool. It can be used in a couple of different situations. One that I think of the most is if I am working and I'm bouncing between a couple of different extensions, if I'm using, trying to figure out how the extensions are interacting, or if I'm just developing in multiple extensions and I want to bounce back and forth. Snapshot's a great time. Again, you just load up CET, make sure they're open, make that snapshot after you have loaded all of those extensions, all of the toolbars, all of the libraries, anything like that. Make sure they're open. It'll just make that load time faster. If you have a really large extension, or if you have an extension where you only want to work, you have lots of sub-extensions and you only want to work in the one sub-extension. Having either of those open, or making sure you have only the pieces you want selected, is another great way to use this tool. It'll allow you to really narrow in and focus without having to worry about reloading those databases every single time. Finally, and the one I use the most, you can do it if you're doing core changes and you want to do performance checking and stuff like that. But the one I use most often is for undo crashes. This can be a great tool if you know a crash is coming, or you made a crash before and now you want to figure out why it's crashing. If you go into your setup and you get to that very point right before a crash, so you've loaded up all your packages, you've pulled in those snappers, you set up the situation just right before the snap and the crash should happen, and you make that snapshot, oh, it's so much faster. You'll be able to recover from your crashes no problem. And you don't have to worry about, oh, can I do Control-Alt-Q to recover or anything like that. If it crashes, you can just close it and it'll start up just like normal, and you don't have to worry about it. It'll be much faster, much easier, and we can be like BMO and bring ourselves back to life, no problem, in no time at all. So let's see a comparison of the two side by side. I have here the same extension with the same workspace. On the right-hand side is the extension with a snapshot. The workspace with a snapshot is the same workspace. This video side, the right side has the snapshot, the left side does not. As you can see on that right side, I do have the restore snapshot in there. And you can already see that this is moving much faster. I've already loaded up into the extension details, and I'm already working on opening up CET. On this side, I haven't even made it to extension details yet. And I know this is super exciting for everybody to watch my computer. So by the time my CET is opened up on this side, I'm going to open up that extension once more. I've only just gotten to extension details and started loading my CET. So for this one itself, it took 50 seconds to load that back up into the extension space after that crash with the snapshot. It's way faster. Over here, look, we're still not even loaded into CET. We haven't even gotten anywhere yet. We're still working on building up that data in the background. We're thinking. I'm sure you all were really excited to watch this video of CET loading. I would 1.5 this at this point because it's just a little bit slow, but that's okay. So here we are. We've now had CET opened, and I'm going to click on that extension one more time just to make sure everything is opened and ready. Here we go. It's thinking. Comparison-wise here, I had the same extensions open, the same workspaces, the same computer, the same everything. My same exact crash for the letters and numbers. With this snapshot, it only took me 50 seconds to recover, and now I can go back to working again. Whereas opposed with no snapshot, it took me 2 minutes to recover, and I have nothing in this workspace except for core and my personal repo. So if you are working in the same kind of situation where you have debugging going on or development and a crash is occurring, a snapshot can really save you time to recover faster and help you move forward faster. Speaking of undo, here there are a couple of tools that you can use. I'm sure you all have seen that you can do undo info by typing it into Emacs and letting it all go and typing that up and hitting Control Space and moving forward. But you could actually get the undo info from CET while you're developing. If you head over to the monitor extension, which is something as a dev you have access to, You'll come here to the dump monitoring information, hit dump undo info. This will make the undo log appear in your Emacs, and it'll show you the current state of your undo chain, your current position, any snappers you might have in the space, as well as any of the operations, undo, modify, insertion, anything like that you would need to see to debug undo chains. Just a simple tool, simple ease, especially if you have two screens and you don't want to come out of CET. You can take a quick glance, see, oh yeah, that's where I am in the undo chain. This is the thing that's broken. Just a quick tool to use in case of that situation. Another tool that can be used in the monitor is the session info. So again, I have things in my world. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the monitoring extension. And right under dump undo info is dump session info. You go ahead and hit that. Once again, in Emacs or VS Code, if you feel that way, it will dump it out and it'll tell you all the information about the world. So, what the world is, the space ID, any of the views you have, the selection that you're currently clicked on, the snappers that are in the space, even snappers that were not put into the BSP, as our floor snapper is. Anything that's in that space, you can see, it'll show you your paper space, any of these extra views such as that, and all of this information. Just a quick way if you want to know something about the world, especially if you're trying to replicate an error from a user or a drawing that you've found or an issue that came to you via Sentry. This could really give you information about how the drawing is loading, what information is happening in the world as it's happening. Tool in the monitoring extension called Core Viewer. So I have this singular snapper. I've selected it. I'm going to hit up here to Core Viewer. And our lovely developers have given us some dubious title of being lost in the dark. This will give you some basic information about the snapper. Where your bounds are, what neighbors you might have if it's connected, any connections you do have, anything like that. A core viewer is helpful, especially if you are, building a system with a lot of connections or spaces in it. So let's say, that's interesting. On a all right, if you were working on an electrical system or anything like that, that's a good way to check it out. Make sure that you can see the connections, if everything is hooked up properly, all the neighbors are found, and anything like that. So a little oopsie here. I've apparently somehow shifted over to my next slide, which is the 3 different ways to open up CET. The first way, of course, is the main way, the way that most files come in, the way users see CET, and lots of devs do it this way, is in our boot file. We have this run cet.runtime designer.cm. This designer.cm core code here is the way that CET is running into the actual designer space. So when you run a build designer, that's that kind of way it pops CET open into the fully actualized CET. The second way to open up CET is to go into your boot file and change that designer.cm to main.cm. This is the way I typically run my CET. It is great because it takes you directly into extension management. So if you are working with multiple extensions, large extensions, or product lines that each have their own library tab, and you only want to turn on, one of them, opening up into extension management really makes that easier. So you don't have to wait for all of your extension to load. Instead, it will only worry about that one product line and everything else can be turned off. Running as a main CM is also useful in the fact that if you gained a new license or access to a new repo and it needs to check that for your licensing, if your certificates might be out of date, you're automatically opening up into this. So a good example of that is if you load CET as a designer CM and it says you don't have access, so CET will not open at all. Loading into extension management stops it before that moment, and you can license refresh to make sure your certificates are up to date, all the licenses are known about, and hopefully that crash will no longer happen. The last and other way to run CET is to actually comment out this entire line. When you comment this line out, CET will not visually open. There will be no windows, no extension management, nothing. All of the code will be compiled just as normal. You can Alt-I, you can move around, anything like that. You just won't be able to interact with CET. As a little extra nugget here, because I can see that I have it in my core code, in my boot file here, this cmcore.dump history, CET history. If you have a file and you want to know any drawing, and you want to know, when was it created, how old is the drawing, what's happened, who's opened it, anything like that, if you put this into your boot file, go ahead and hit Control-Alt-Space. It will give you the information about the drawing. This is especially helpful if drawing is unknown, you have feature issues. It can tell you how old it was and any data that might be there. So we're going to move on to our next topic here, which is templates. Templates is a thing we can use to help make extensions, especially if you are creating a brand new extension or if you are creating sub-extensions. Templates are a way, especially if you do this quite often, to help speed up the process. So extension creation using a template will allow you to make those files that you have to use every single time. Like if you do a custom snapper class. If you make a template that already has the custom snapper class in it, this will help you every time you have to make a new one to have that file ready and you don't have to remake it or copy and paste it, hint, hint, every single time. Inside of core, we have this folder called templates. So you can find it in base CM core templates. Inside that folder is a README file. This will talk to you a little bit about how templates are set up and the necessary information for it. There is more in that file folder. There are the base template files that all our extensions use to create the basic box snapping library. So you can go ahead right now, you can look in your workspace in that core templates folder location. You can see all of those files are there. And they kind of give you a basic guideline on how to create your own template. When you create a template, this is just a key point that you should know. This is the name of the file. So whatever you're going to call it, if you are making your toolbox or you're making a custom snapper or anything like that, that will be there. You should always end in extension template.cmz. Template is especially important in that. That is how extension creator, when it goes to look at it, will find the template files. As a side note, when you create template files, as you can see, don't put your template files in the core template folder. Make your own folder, whether that's in your personal repo on your computer or inside of your extensions folders. You just need to not store them in core. If you go ahead and make a folder, call it templates, put your own files in there, not a big deal, just fine. So these are the basic files that I would recommend that are quite important to make 4 templates. You have your extension with toolbox, your package, the toolbox library, the sample snapper, and your extension files. So these ones, you can all see they end in template CMZ. This is, of course, vitally important. Always do this. Do not do that. So these are the basic ones. I will show you them in a minute. And of course, we have extension files. Inside extension files it's actually a folder inside of that template folder. And inside of that will be contained the lazy XML template folder as well as your RS template file. How do we use the template? We've talked about what they are. I'm going to show you how to use it, where to use it, and then we'll talk about how to make files. So there are 2 ways to get to the space, which is called Extension Creator, which is where you will use your template folder. The first way to get to Extension is through CET Designer. So, we open up CET, you go to Help, go down to Extension Details, and you're going to go in there, and you see at the bottom we have these beautiful buttons. If you go ahead and click New, it will open up Extension Creator, where we'll put in our extension name and all the information that you need for that. The second way is through CET Operator. So if you open up Operator, you're going to head to Dev Studio. Give it a second. It will come back around, I promise. It's a little slow loading up for me, but it's okay. So here we are inside of CET Extension Create. Whoa. As a important information note, when you want to create an extension through the Dev Studio, make sure you have picked either base, your extension inside of custom here, or your own personal repo. Have one of these 3 selected to allow Extension Creator to work. So, as an example of this, if I was creating a sub-extension for Turtle Terrapin, instead of going up here, which will help me create a brand new extension space, I want to click on Turtle Terrapin, and that will give me the sub-extension space. Everything that I'm going to transfer over would have been built in Turtle Terrapin. But this time I'm going to make a new one inside of my space. So I'm going to go up to Add, hit that drop down, hit Extension, and here we are back at Extension Creator, which is where the template folder will be used in the next page. So, Extension Creator, super easy to get to, super basic. I'm sure most of you have probably used it at least once to create an extension. Now, we are going to go on a dangerous expedition, the most dangerous part of a presentation, and do a live demo. Templates are a little overwhelming to do and give, so we're going to do a live demo here to really explain how to, use templates properly. Here we are on our dangerous adventure. I am in my basic workspace here. Again, I can show you I have nothing but official and my own templates folder. So if we go take a quick look at that. So again, here, before we go to my space, here is the core templates folder. This is where you can go look at the ones right now in your own workspace. It's in that core templates. Here are all of the files that you can base yours off of, as well as the lazy XML, the RS file, any PNG file, and then any logos, images that you might have that you want to keep. So mine, since I have pre-made one already, is inside of my own personal profile, and it's here in this templates folder. So as you can see, I've got quite a bit going on. So let's start with the core files, and we can do some comparisons of base core. I'm going to forget in a second what I actually need to go to. Core templates. There we go. All right. So let's start with the extensions with a toolbox CMZ. So a few key things to know every time you make a .cmz file. You want to make sure that these two things up here are what is happening, or exist. You don't want to fill them in. You don't want to put anything else in there except for this copyright notice and the package dot with the package name inside the curly braces and the brackets. This will ensure in template creation that the name you pick for your extension, whatever it is, gets filled in correctly without any worries. You can see here that I've got copyright notice and the package name included as well. Put in any use calls just like you would normally. This is going to be your lazy.cm folder, just so you are aware. That's what this will turn into eventually. So, the basic structure. This one on the right over here is my own personal one. It's inside my repo. It's one I've created. And this is the one that Core will give you in any workspace. So the basic setup, your use calls, whatever you'd like to use, any use calls you put in your own lazy extension calls, anything like that, go ahead and put those there. The key difference between a normal extension.cm file and the CMZ file is going to be this section here. This is where you will put all of the files that you would like to be included. So for a basic box extension, which we've probably all seen at least once, we of course include the package CMZ, the toolbox CMZ, the basic box CMZ, and our extension files, which is the lazy MXL, the RS file, and any images that we include, right? So that's the toolbox library, the basic box itself, and then the extension library logo. This is the way and path to set that up. Always kind of follow this. So you're going to include a file where that file is in the template folder, okay? So this is inside the template folder, whatever you're going to call it. So for the sample snapper, right? So we have a file inside of the templates folder called sample. I'm gonna say get some Snapple here. Sample snapper basic box.template.cmz. Okay. So whatever that file is called, you want to put it as your source path, and then whatever you want the file to be called after that. So in the After Effect, of course, basic box CM is what that's called, and that will generate the basic box CM file for the snapper. Anytime you have that, that's what that is. So you want to follow that every single time. So if we pop over to mine, you can see I also got the package, the toolbox. I've put my extension files up because we're always going to include the XML, the RS, and any PNGs you want for the library. But I have my custom snappers, so I have my start letter, Arabic C, Arabic E, and Arabic T. So these are my three snappers I'm going to bring over. And as you can see, I did the source path. This is inside my own personal template file folder. I will show you the folder in just a second. And my target path is it's going to take this and turn it into Arabic C. So I have my three. I made a basic rules. So if you know what connector rules you're going to make, any globals that you're going to declare, any kind of snapper relationship files they have to make. It doesn't have to be a snapper class. It can be a functions class, your init folder. Well, your init folder is kind of part of this. Anything like that, anything custom that you know you're going to include every single time. If you make a template CMZ file that contains those pieces and make it into its own CM file afterwards, it'll happen over every single time. And like I said, you can also include images. I have the Arabic CET for the PNGs, and they'll go into my images folders that's inside my extension. You can also, if you are doing physical CM3Ds or CM-SIM files inside your extension, you can also include those. I have here as a demo, I included this CM3D, and it'll pop over into my folder when I create it. So, things you don't want to touch when you make your own template folder. Don't touch anything inside these brackets. Extension Creator will fill them in with the extension name you give when you do the creation. So don't fill in here, don't fill in here. Leave it alone, it's okay. Your package name will be filled in. These are classes that you probably have already seen before multiple times. So if you do special things in the initialization, in the start, the stop, or the init of your extensions, and you know you're going to want those methods, functions, calls, whatever customizations you want, and they're going to happen every time, go ahead and pop them into your template folder right now, in your template file right now for your extension library, okay? So if you have any customizations for that, this is where you'll pop them. Same thing on my side. I didn't tamper with anything on my terms. I didn't want to just around this time. But everything else, you know, we do give you some warnings inside this folder. Do not touch. I'm going to say that again. Do not touch the function name for get extension or get extension ID or get extension info. Do not touch these. These are part of making an extension. The template creator, extension creator is looking for these specifically. Okay? So I'm going to say it one more time. Do not touch these. You can touch the interior, as you can see here in the extension info, but do not touch the function name. So I didn't mess with any of the get extension or the extension ID. If you want to and you're already doing customization for that, go right ahead. I did not. I didn't see it as necessary. However, in the get extension info, these are things that are meant to be shipped with the extension, anything like that. So this will help it put it in the right space. As you can see, subdirectory, that will be where it is headed. So, you know, Fika. If this is Fika's lazy XML, Fika's localized RS, anything like that. If you are including images outside of, you know, whatever you're including, so your logo images, your library images, any snapper icons that you already have, if you want them to ship every single time, because they'll be in that extension every single time, and you don't want to put them in hand by hand. Look at, I can spell, guys. Sorry. You can go ahead and put your images in there, put it in the subdirectory, it'll make sure to grab them. And then, of course, include the files. You're going to build your extension. Similarly, let's look at let's go to Toolbox first. So, this might look a little familiar to some people. As you can see, it's a library. So, if you build your libraries in the same way every single time, whether that's for your sub-extension or for brand new extensions, and you kind of know how you want it to set up, or you definitely know how you want it to set up, and it's a common thing that you do every time, and you do some weird customizations of headers, snappers, library limbs, anything like that, you can set it up however you'd like by making your own library box. Once again, just to reiterate, you can see here I have that copyright notice and the package name at the top. In my own template folder, I think I called it Toolbox here too. So here's mine. It looks very similar. The only thing I think I changed at this point in time is I switched out basic box for my own key things, my own snappers that I generated. They look the same. Not a lot going on here for me, but if you do have snapper customizations, you know, catalog drop downs, button headers, anything like that, if you want to go ahead and put those in, that is the time to do it. Another one that is always in there that you should always include is the package one. I'm sure this looks very noticeable to everyone. It's the basic package file. You should always have it. Don't mess with this, you know, except for the use files, anything like that. Don't touch the copyright notice, anything like that. Don't worry about it. It's not necessary. It'll get all filled in. Mine looks exactly the same, so I'm not going to show it to you because it doesn't matter. But we will look at the snapper box real quick. So as you can see, I'm sure we've all seen this one at least once. This is the basic box CM file, right? So we've got the width, the depth, the height, your bound, the build 2D, the build 3D, the get parts, And the parts with uncertainty. This is the basic box CM file. If you have a customized snapper, a customized article view, a customized, I don't even know, digital swatch, anything like that, that you know is going to happen every single time, you can create the file just like this. You save it as a CMZ instead of a CM. And so then when you make your next extension, this will be saved. This will be good to go. Don't fill that in. Put in whatever use statements you like. You know what it's called. So I don't know if we're calling it the Fika Snapper. You'd say public class Fika Snapper and put it in there, or whatever you'd like. And you call it custom Snapper. It really doesn't matter. This will be your setup. You can use it every single time. I have created each of those snappers for myself. I have a custom Arabesh C template because I always want an Arabesh C in my beautiful collection. Again, you can see I've got the copyright notice and the package name up there. Nothing is happening. My use statements. This is a really simple CM. I didn't want to get super complicated here, but you can see I've got my constructor, I've got a connector, I've got my collections, all that stuff, a build 2D, I'm grabbing my 3D model, and I did a parts with uncertainty. And of course, I also did a connect, I think it's called basic connect rules template. So I have a snapper and it connects to things and I need the connect rules. So I also made a custom connect rules that I know it's going to be there every single time because I need it to be there every single time. You can fill in pre-things. So if you're going to do locker file storage, right? And you know that they're going to have to connect to the left and the right. You can reset those connect rules with the names, make them in there. You can have a whole list. It really doesn't matter. That will all work for you. It'll be totally fine. Not a big deal. So as you can see, that's kind of how it works, the basics of it, right? So, and then inside of your extension folder, hey, I can type, I swear, guys, is the extension files. Files. And inside that, you can see there will be that lazy XML template. And that, of course, is the XML file for your extension. So this is where if you have custom things in your extension, if you're going to pre-embed catalogs that you know should be there, anything like that, any functional things, drop down, anything like that, that happens every time you got to put in there, you can program that in right here, set it all up, no big deal. Same thing with the RS files. I think it's called localize here. So if you had, make sure to put the package name there and everything like that. If you know things that are going to be called every single time, so if I were making a sub to Fika or a new Fika and I knew I'd need, what's it called, and these things are going to exist there, this will create that RS file. So that's the basics of that. You can ask more questions about it. There's also images in here. I'm not going to open them because they're that, but you can see basic box, extension, PNG. So we can take a quick look real quick. So this is my own personal profile one. And again, like I said, do not put your template folders in core. Mine are stored in my personal profile. They're just here under templates. It's my own little folder. And it's got all of my things. So my toolbox library, my starter letters, my package template, my template extension, and my basic rules. And inside my extension folder, I have my CM3D, my XML, my RS file, and then my images. Okay? So, how shall we do this? Let's do this first. So can't actually compile in a CMZ file. I have to go all the way to a boot or TCM. You're gonna be really excited because you gotta watch this because I don't have anything in it. And I don't have a snapshot, oddly enough. I'll just make you suffer through the whole thing. Maybe. Well, while that's working, I'm gonna bring up developer here and we're gonna head over to Dev Studio, which opened up in another monitor because, you know, it makes total sense that it does that. Come here, CET. We're going to start that up in the background just for demo purposes. Whoa. Let's close all that down. Okay, so again, make sure to click inside the profile that you want. If you just click here, you can see that's grayed out because you can't just make an extension in extensions. I have nothing in extensions, so there's nothing to show you. But if I click into base, I don't want it to open. You can see that's opened up again. Or if I click into, you know, any of my custom builds. So if I'm down here in Caricature Wolverine, that is also viable. But if I click up here in personal, not viable. So make sure that you click in the space you'd like, whether that is inside of a extension you already have. So if you know, are wanting to create something example wise, if we were creating a sub extension of Fika, I would open up base and I'd go and select Fika, and that would create my new extension inside of the old extension, creating what I would call a sub extension. Okay. I just saw CET. It's almost there. We're going to show that real quick before I begin because once you make CET, it gets a bit cranky. Well, you know, everybody, I realized in the interim that I didn't actually turn on any of my custom stuff, and it's struggling a bit today, so I'm really sorry about that. Come on, buddy. Well, everybody, just look at the pretty colors. I really like blue and green, so here I am screaming. Are you gonna work now? There you go. All right, after that fun little detail, I just realized at the very beginning that I didn't come down here. I think it's in Turtle Terrapin. Turn to CET real quick. There they are. So this is an extension that I have that just exists. Maybe it just exists. Apparently it doesn't want to exist today. That's interesting. Alrighty then. So anyways, I do have these folder locations in these files. They exist here. They are just that. Apparently today we're just going to see gray squares that connect. Who knew? All right, so it already exists, right? That's my Turtle Terrapin. It's basic. It's whatever. So here I am inside of my personal profile. I'm going to click my name. I'm going to hit add. I'm going to hit extension, and it pops up. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I like to name my things silly names. As you can see, Turtle Terrapin, Caricature Wolverine. So this time I think we'll go with Elk Moose. Totally random, no thing, whatever. So just like you would normally, Elk Moose, my name, version, profile, packages, whatever tendencies you want. You're going to hit next. And this is the core one, right? So this is the one everybody clicks when they want to make an extension that's new, or a sub-extension that's new, or anything like that. Extension toolbox. This is using the folder and the template files in that. So this will create the basic box extension with the basic box in it. You know, it has the copyright, the name, all that kind of stuff. Any custom templates you have, whether that's in your own profile or in your extension profile, or if another extension has template files, don't be using that unless you have access, which you should if you have the core code. You can hit my template and you'll notice nothing changed on that side, except now it's going to use my template files instead of the basic box template files. So when I hit this, I will no longer get basic box. I will now get Airbush CET and my connect rules and all of that. A slight note for those of you who I almost did this, so I'm just going to let you know right now. This really pretty next button doesn't do anything. We've hit next already. I am clicking it. You can see nothing happens. I don't know why we don't get rid of it. Just so you know, in that future moment when you're like, oh yeah, it's time to hit next. Don't hit next. It doesn't do anything. I've hit it many times in the investigation of this. Don't feel bad. So I'm now going to hit create. It'll close down CET, It'll make all this stuff. It'll do a lot of fun things as it bounces stuff around. But you can now see over here, I had Caracajou and I had Turtle Terrapin. And now I have extension moose. I have my extension elk moose. And you can see it's got all the letters in there. We'll go take a look real quick. So when it does create an extension, anytime it does this kind of thing, it will immediately pop open your extension XML for your new extension. The info, the version, what type it is, the profile, the packages, your dependencies, it will automatically open that up immediately. So we are going to do this real quick. That one. Oh, well, that's irritating. So I'm going to make a snapshot so that things will load faster for us. And then we are going to pop over here to my TCM and we're going to do a quick close. And then we're going to start that back up. And in the meantime, I will show you, just as I said, you can see I already have the Arabesh C, the E, and the T. My connect rules already exist. The CM3D popped over. And if we come down here, and there's elk moose. So just like I had Turtle Terrapin, I now have elk moose and my Caracajou Wolverine. They are the correct versions. You can shift your versions later. It's not a big deal. We're going to start up CET and then we'll come back over here. And just like I said, so Arabish C, and if I pull up, it should still be open, my starter letter Arabish, you'll see they look exactly the same, except for my copyright notice has been put in, my package name has been filled in, but everything else, my connectors, my transforms, my build 2D, everything is there. So, as you can see, anything you put in these folders, anything you put in these files, they will come from this side, and they're going to go over and be here. And they're going to transform from a CMZ to a CM file. So anytime you want to, again, custom functions, custom globals, custom snappers, custom imaging, library heads, lazy XMLs, resource files, images, anything like that that you use repeatedly again and again and again and again and again, and you don't want to have to recreate it from scratch. Make a template file. Make a CMZ of it. And then make sure it's included in this extension with toolbox is the basic one in, that you can copy. Put it up here, that file. Make sure it's included the file, the source path, and what it's turning into. This is how you save yourself from copy and pasting 12 million times. So let's look at this. In CET, since I've loaded up, you can see I have Turtle Terrapin with my magical boxes and nothing else. But I also have elk moose. Maybe I have elk moose. It would be ironic if I'm showing this to you and it didn't work. Guess what? It's ironic because what is your, oh, okay, I don't know how that happened. I'm really sorry. I have somehow added double zeros to the front of everything, which is a new one for me. That's also a new one for me. Hey guys, this is why live demos are a bad idea. Letter ESC. What's wrong with letter ESC? I don't know. Well, isn't this silly? I tried to show you and it didn't work. Okay, well, if it did work, which it doesn't, so I'm gonna have to go figure out why, I would be pulling in the same kind of functions and any of that. Switch computers real quick. So just like before, we'll actually show it this time, since for some reason I didn't transfer all the files on the other one. This is Turtle Terrapin, I think. It might be Caracajou. It is Turtle. So we're in Turtle Terrapin. As you can see, these are my snappers. This is all the basics. So we'll hop over to Dev Studio. Yeah, none of that committed. It's a problem, you know. So, personal profile, I'm picking me. I'm going to add, and like I said, I'm still going to call it Elk Moose because that's what we do here. We call things weird names. And you go ahead and hit my template, and look guys, just like I told you, I still hit next, even though I know it doesn't do anything. We'll hit create, and once again, it'll go through all of the pieces. You can see Elk Moose. I go back to Emacs, and there is the pieces of my Elk Moose XML, just like I said. If we go into CET, you can see, you don't have to clean restart. I usually do because I have, tendencies. But if I click Elk Moose, just like before, I'm going to pull it in, and it goes 1. It freaks out because there are still broken things, but, actually things exist here. And 3. So, my stuff is still not perfect, as you see, but it is set up exactly the same. And like I said, I can go into my Elk Moose, and my connect rules will be there. And all of my Arabesh, all 3 of them, CENT, will be there. So if we open up C, just like I said, it does come all the way over. It has all of these pieces with it, just like you would like, and all of the images did transfer over, even though they didn't display. So I'm in my personal profile, I'm gonna refresh, and there is Elk Moose. And you can see package, lazy XMLs, my extension, my CM3D, which transferred over, my connect rules, and my images. So they should have transferred, and I probably just don't have my library set up correctly, and all of it works. So that is the basics of how to use a template. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to contact me, and I will answer as I can. Okay, and like I said, my name is Alexis Archer. If you'd like to contact me, here is my email. You don't have to email me directly though. I am dev support, so yeah, I'm singularly dev support. Basically just me. So if you want to submit a ticket instead, it will come to me. I will get it. It's not a problem. I can take care of it that way as well.